Live. This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, and I got over 10,000 hits in a couple of days reviewing the 99 to 2001 WCW Wrestlers Pay document. So, as I mentioned in that video, Hulk Hogan's contract was special. It was not included in that. So, I'm going to go over Hulk Hogan's 1998 WCW contract. Right here, a lawyer friend of mine sent it to me. It is public record. It's not confidential anymore or anything. It was 22 years ago. So let's go through it a little bit. This contract was from May 29th, 1998 to May 28th, 2002. So I think WCW closed down in the spring of 2001. So it looks like he probably got a little over a year's pay after WCW closed down. There's a note here regarding his bonuses. WCW shall pay Terry Bollea a bonus amount of $2 million at the execution and delivery of this agreement. So I'm no lawyer again from reading this for you guys, but from what I understand, it appears like Hulk Hogan got a $2 million signing bonus for signing this. Now take into consideration, Haku only made $150,000 a year, but Hogan gets a $2 million signing bonus in 98. For pay-per-views, Terry Bollea will promote, appear, and wrestle on 6 pay-per-view events during year 1, 2, 3 of this agreement. He will be the feature wrestler on each of these pay-per-view events. WCW shall compensate Bollea the greater of 15% of domestic pay-per-view cable sales received by WCW for each event. So that will be okay. So if his minimum guarantee for each pay-per-view is $675,000, if the 15% of pay-per-view sales is worth more than $675,000, he'll get more per pay-per-view, from what I understand from this. WCW shall pay Bollea $1,350,000 on July 1st, November 1st, and February 1st of years 1 through 3 of this agreement, in advance of the pay-per-view guaranteed payments. In addition, above the pay-per-view guaranteed payments, WCW shall pay Bollea for each pay-per-view event in which he participates in pursuant to the following incentive compensation schedule. Buy rate of 1.5 to 1.79, he'll get an additional $250,000 per event. 1.8 to 1.99, an additional $375,000 per event. 2.1 to 2.49, he'll get an additional $500,000 per event. 2.5 to 2.99, he'll get an additional $850,000 per event. 3.0 to 3.49, he'll get an additional $1,250,000 per event. 3.5 buy rate and up, he'll get an additional $1,750,000 per event. So Hogan would have killed it in the good years of WCW on pay-per-views. For his WCW Nitro and Thunder appearances during year 1 through 3 of this agreement, he'll promote, appear, and wrestle and perform as requested by WCW at Nitro and Thunder events in consideration for his participation in such events. WCW shall pay Bollea 25% of the gross arena ticket revenues for each WCW Nitro and WCW Thunder in which he appears and wrestles. However, in the event that Bollea's compensation would be less than $25,000 per event, such amounts would be paid to Bollea on the next regular scheduled WCW talent pay date. So it seems like Bollea would get 25% of the gross from an arena. So if, let's say, a Nitro arena gate was $100,000, he would get $25,000. If it was $200,000 gates, he'd get $50,000. But if for some reason the gate was under $25,000, his percentage, he would be paid minimum $25,000 from what I understand out of a future payment. So I don't understand how WCW would make money on any of those arena gate shows, because on top of all their advertising, building rental costs, paying all the other talent, they got to pay Hulk Hogan 25% of the gate, which is huge. For his television taping participation, he will appear at 16 mutually agreed upon television tapings per year. So he had a minimum 16 television tapings. For non-televised house shows during years 1 to 3 of this agreement, he will perform at a reasonable number of non-televised house shows. WCW, again, will compensate Bollea 25% of the gross arena ticket revenue from these house shows. So if he wrestled on a house show, he also got 25% of the gross revenue. For international arena dates, both WCW and Bollea will have a mutual option for Bollea to appear on those dates. So those would be negotiated, I guess, on a date-by-date basis for international dates. Like, for instance, I know when Hogan appeared on that WCW date in Montreal for Jacques Rougeau, he got $25,000 for that date. Not that Montreal is that far. It's right on the Vermont border. But, like, I know that's what he was paid for that date. But maybe to go over to a different country, which WCW rarely did. I think they did it in Australia and a few other places. Those would have been special negotiations with them and Hogan. For his year 4 compensation, Bollea will receive a $100,000 consultant fee for year 4 of this agreement. In the event that Bollea provides any wrestling services in year 4, he'll be entitled to the same compensation as in previous years. Already stated. Then, as far as his merchandise goes, I won't go into too much detail on this. But basically, he'll receive a royalty of 50% of the net receipts by WCW on all merchandise sold by WCW or any other consumer incorporating Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, or Bollea's likeness or character. In the event Bollea's name, likeness, or character are used in conjunction with other names, Bollea shall receive 50% of the pro-rate portion of net receipts received by WCW. Bollea shall receive 50% of the actual licensee fee received by WCW on Hulk Hogan's name. During the period of which Bollea is a member of the New World Order, Bollea will receive a promotional fee for promoting the NWO, wearing the name while wrestling on air or in photo shoots of $20,000 per month. So I guess you got $25,000 per month for being in the NWO. In no event will Bollea's annual promotional fee be provided less than 25% of WCW's net receipts and licensing fees for generic, non-talent specific NWO merchandise. Any adjustments to be made for the promotional fees shall be calculated on a quarterly basis. So it seems, from what I understand, for like the generic NWO shirts that weren't like a Hall or Nash specific shirt, Hogan got 25% on those. There's a few other things. There was one interesting thing on creative I noticed here earlier. Oh, yes, WCW will, for his travel deal, Bollea will receive first-class air travel, a first-class hotel suite, accommodations, limousine transportation, and $175 a day as per diem spending money. WCW shall have the right of first negotiations for Bollea's wrestling and other services for a 12-month period following termination of this agreement. Bollea, except for exceptions specifically provided, Bollea shall not directly or indirectly be employed by or perform similar services or engage or be connected in any manner with any other individual entity or business in the wrestling type. So obviously you can't wrestle for another company. Here is something very interesting. Bollea shall have approval over the outcome of all wrestling matches in which he appears, wrestles, and performs. Such approval not to be unreasonably withheld. So there you go. Bollea has approval over all wrestling matches. So he basically decided who he wrestles, what the finishes were, and his own creative. So that was the main parts of this agreement. He made a lot of money in WCW, huge money, that is for sure. He's definitely, other than The Rock or Austin, who probably, I know The Rock, when he makes his appearances now, he makes a fortune. And Austin was the highest drawing WWE wrestler of all time. Austin had the highest percentage of packed arenas. So Austin could have made more at his peak, but Hulk Hogan certainly had a great deal in WCW and a lot of pull. I'll just read a few of your comments. Yoda Dog's Tool Collection says Hogan is worn out. Ricky Cap 1271 says he enjoys my reports. King 5069 says that's a lot of money. Oxyman in 1998 WCW cheap seats were $40. King 5069, did I ever wrestle for WCW? No, I was still in high school. I was actually a senior in high school when WCW closed down. AJRX says it sounds like a Shaquille O'Neal Laker contract. Mike S. was the contract with Turner or WCW. Says it was with WCW, a division of Turner Sports. So Turner was the parent company Let me just look at who co-signed the contractual agreement. I forgot to check that out. But yeah, Turner owned WCW. So this was signed by Harvey Schiller, president of Turner Sports. So Harvey Schiller, president of Turner Sports, signed the contract. Yoda Dogs has had a couple of Wolfpack shirts. How much was his base? Well, as I said, he had a base agreement. I'm not sure what his downside guarantee was, but he had minimum 6 pay-per-view appearances, and he was getting a minimum of what? I said it earlier. Minimum compensation of like $600,000 per pay-per-view. So you guys do the calculations. Someone could do the calculations of everything I stated and tell us exactly what the minimum he would have made. But it said something like 16 TV appearances, making a minimum of $25,000 an appearance, 6 pay-per-view appearances, making a minimum in the 600,000s. So his base was millions of dollars.